What's up, guys? This is Micah with Crash Course Code, and this is going to be the 13th video in this tutorial series. So in this video, we're going to create a basic calculator. So we're going to implement functions for add, subtract, divide, and multiply, just to kind of solidify your understanding of methods here. So to start, we're going to write those method stubs. So we're going to do public static int, and in this method we're just going to divide integers. We're not going to work with dividing floats or doubles or decimals or anything like that, just to keep it simple and just to get you guys like a better working knowledge of methods. So we're going to do add, have ints n1, int n2, and now I'm actually just going to copy this stub right here because our methods are going to be pretty similar. So we can just copy this down. I'm going to copy that 3 more times here. And you'll see that we can just put in subtract here, put in divide, and put in multiply. So now we have our the methods of our calculator class kind of outlined here. It's giving us an error because we haven't returned anything, because we did put integer as the return type for our methods. So what we're going to have to do is return n1 plus n2, return n1 minus n2 here, return n1 divided by n2, and return n1 times n2. So awesome. Now we have a really basic calculator class, essentially. So in our main function, we can pretty much add, subtract, divide, multiply with these keywords of add, subtract, divide, and multiply. So I can say system.out.println n1 plus, I'm going to make this kind of look good here, plus n2 equals, this is one of my least favorite things about kind of printing stuff out to the console, is you have to do all this concatenation with these strings, and sometimes it can look a little bit confusing. And we're just going to do add after we're just going to do add n1, n2. Actually, let me call these num1 and num2. Yeah, sorry for that pause there. It's going to be num1 and num2, just so you guys don't get confused. The variable that we pass in here does not have to be the same name as the variable of the arguments. So you'll see what I'm talking about in just a sec. So I'm going to say num2 and num1 here. So I'm going to say int num1. I have to declare these variables before I can actually use them. You see, it gives me this red underline here, so that's kind of a problem. Be sure you have these pluses to make sure you have all of this correct. Put in that semicolon. So I'm going to say int num1 equals 7. Int num2 equals 3. For some reason I like those numbers, so I'm going to stick with them. So you see that we passed in num1 and num2 into our add function right here. So that add was the keyword, and if we run this, you're going to see that as soon as this, oh, we forgot, it looks like I forgot a plus right here. So now, again, I should have recognized that because my line wasn't actually coloring up with all these awesome colors. So when your lines of code don't actually kind of color in their text, that usually means you've made an error and you kind of want to look for one there. So now if I run this, you see it gives us 7 plus 3 equals 10. And that's exactly what we want. So you guys can see that you can pass in variables to functions, and they work the same exact thing as numbers. So I can replace this as 7 and 3. It's the same exact thing. The big concept you have to kind of grasp here is that these arguments can be anything that you pass into them, and that these arguments are separate from the variables that you pass in. Hopefully that's not too confusing, and you can kind of see what I'm saying here. But you can say num1, pass this in, and it becomes n1. You can pass in num2, and it becomes n2 within this function. In the same way, you can say you can pass in 3, and n1 becomes this value of 3. So that's just kind of what I wanted to kind of reiterate with methods, because that's the big takeaway for the usefulness of methods. It's just the fact that they're so flexible and you can pass them in with different values, and it just cleans up your code and makes everything look good. So now just to kind of utilize some of these other methods, I'm going to just copy this line of code. And instead of these pluses, I'm going to put, let's just do multiply. I'm just going to do the multiply and add methods because I think you guys kind of get the point here. And instead of add, put in the multiply selector. Remember the name of the method is generally called a selector. That's kind of just some programming terminology. You run this and it says 7 times 3 equals 21. So awesome, this is our basic calculator. We kind of got it working here and we printed some stuff out to the console. That's going to be it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.